Out of the Mud Productions Incorporated. This is Connected and Protected. I'm Dehru Mitchell. Today's topic will be how we are getting our land back. And I want to start by saying that this is our land. It always has been. It came with us in creation. And we had no reason to give it away. That's why they took it. Understand? They did all of the contrivances that they could come up with. They made treaties they never kept. They always had a way of instilling in us an ideal that we could trust them. And we really didn't have to have all of the land, but we never intended to give it away. And it didn't just be taken. They killed off over 500 million people, our people, in this land when they decided they were going to take it. Under the doctrine of discovery, the papal bull given by whatever pope it was at that time, and that has lasted up until it was rescinded recently. You understand? So now we are at the point where we got to tribe up. We have to come back to the knowledge of our ancestral lineages. Amen. And we have to have ourselves in a mindset that as a people, we can do everything for ourselves. We don't need to, we actually really are not only doing for ourselves, but we're making them a profit by doing so. And they take every other measure that they can to profit off of us also. That's why we have a military uh, that's all over the world, but is basically able to keep us in line in this country because of pledges, alliances, and allegiances that we cannot override even as a family member in this country. If they call in a militia on us people in this country, our people are going to come and fill the job order. And that's all it's going to be to them. It's a job order. Your cousin be looking you right in the face, and because he's taking that oath, what are you going to do? You can face military confinement and court martial and all of that, which, I mean, it'd be the same for me to just go AWOL. But I ain't gonna kill my people. I don't care what you say or what I done said. When it comes down to that, I think that would break any mindset that a person would have to say that I owe allegiance to a damn flag in a country that has never really benefited me as a person or as a people that I can see myself actually having a life as. Because I don't feel that any of the conditions that they have made for me to work on my life and then at the end I can retire with whatever I have, which I don't own, still don't own anything. I pay taxes on everything. And if in 3 years the taxes ain't paid, they take that. So you out on the street again with nothing. Houses, cars, and all the rest of that. Don't pay your taxes. See what happens. Mm-hmm. When we never should have been taxed in the first place. For anything that we made, it benefited them to the point where they were the manufacturers, but we were the makers. They had the conglomerations, the big corporations. As a matter of fact, the whole country is a corporation. It's a, it has made me to understand that as a people, we are the labor force. And we have never really rebelled against that because we're always asking for a job. What else do we know except for you don't work, you don't eat? You understand? And then, and I mean, Martin Luther King said at the time, a little while back, before they took him out. While we were asking, you were giving away millions of acres of land. And then you brought in people to teach them how to farm it, which was us, because we knew the land. And then you paid them not to farm. So you can put the land, you can put the prices on it that you wanted. And you can condition the food in any manner that you wanted to. And you thought you could genetically get rid of us in that manner. But that didn't work either because we organic to the land. And everything in this land is in us. Even if y'all try to overdouse it or hybridize it as what you do, you still can't take its ability to nourish us because we came with this land. And we still derive a lot of nourishment from the sun. So, I mean, that says it in a nutshell. But I want to get to the point where we're going to have some things explained or stated that I would like all of us to entertain in our minds so that we can actually come together mentally, form that energetic source that they cannot refuse. They took the land, but they're going to be glad to give it back to us.
So I figured I'd share it with as many people as might want to hear it. You can let it play from the beginning.
Pope Francis sends Obama powerful letter via attorney on July 4th, 2014. 2014. Issued to all members of the domestic police forces, U.S. Marshal Service, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association, and the American Armed Services. These organic American states of the Union know.
Hey, hold on, Roy. Before we go on, let me ask you a question about that first part. Now they called off all those official positions. So them positions don't ain't got nothing to do with us. They got something to do with the Catholic Church, right? That's all the positions that
He
they.
he owned all of that.
Yeah, that's why he said that, right? I just want
Okay,
to make that
so
clear.
now this takes us back to Muhammad Karzai and how he got to be the president of Iraq.
Okay.
In the provisional government in Afghanistan, it's the same thing. They go in with a military force and decimate a land. This was what happened during the Gullah Wars.
Right.
So once the land is decimated and they have killed off as much leadership as possible, there's nobody now that's competent to negotiate a conclusion to the war.
Okay.
So what they have to do now is set up something called an interim government or a provisional government or a republic government.
Right.
Republic means to be ruled or governed by the law.
Right.
The law is hostile to the organic people of the land.
Right.
Now, I'm bringing your attention to, if you notice, that the Pope specifically used the term organic lands. He specifically used that term, and that's why I specifically say that we organic to the land.
Right. Go ahead.
Huh? Oh, that would be fine. Because at this point, I would thoroughly like to say that the manner in which we have been taken away from ourselves by being everything in the book that they could think of to label us as, to keep us from knowing that we are the organic people of this land. And we were always distracted in any manner that you could state that would stop you from going into yourself and feeling it, because that was what they wanted to prevent the most. You have never even considered the difference between in the summertime walking around with the soles of your feet touching the ground And even in the word, biblically, it states, I will give you everything that the sole of your foot toucheth and prosper everything you put your hand to. And that's why they wanted to say that we was taken out of Africa and brought here and made to slave, because even then we could understand that we were profiting them. But that ain't happening. That's not how that went. That was a reversal on the story, because they came here, they killed off all our elders, they stopped us from knowing our knowledge, our true inherited knowledge that was passed down from lip to ear for eons of time. You understand? Way before they even came into existence. And now we have the proof. We have receipts. We have all those documentations that say when they came here, they considered that we were so stupid when we always said they spoke with forked tongues. You understand? In two different directions and slithering around like snakes. But at the same point in time, they also introduced alcohol, and that along with the other substances that they brought about, and and I could just say injected into us. We had no knowledge of what was going on when they brought their diseases over here. They allowed some to live, but they made most to perish. You understand? They took the kids. They took them over to Europe. They called them five civilized tribes. They thoroughly indoctrinated them into their understanding of life based on the fact that they had to agree with everything they were taught and learn it to the extent where they could live under the conditions of what they called civilization. Now, maybe it was, but it was a totally uncivilized, savage, barbaric manner in which they brought that about. And I still think they have those inherent tendencies. That's why they shoot us down in the street. I'm going to leave that alone for now. So we're going to get back to this, and we're going to get some more information on us being and how we can get our land back.
Right. So for the people that be wondering why I always say I'm organic Mississippi clay dirt walking, it's because these terms are the terms that they put in
No, go.
documents that we need to be aware of in order to use the oral tradition in reclaiming what's rightfully ours. I told y'all the police was the occupying military force extended out of London, England, but it was commissioned by the Pope. Everything that Buckingham Palace done was commissioned from the office of the Pope. Even if the Pope ain't the real Pope, the office is what issued the decree. The remedy is to compel the one who issued the order to rescind the order. When you rescind the root document, you rescind everything that's built on that. And this is also critical into why the Chevron doctrine was overturned, whether you know it or not. Okay, let's get back to the letter.
The black Christian codes make sense now. How they operate the black Christian codes now under their own authority with the U.S. Marshal, with the police. They are connected with the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like it's coming together now on the black.
That's why they keep coming talking about a separation in church and state. Because the church is running the government. And the state is supposed to be allocating resources to the people. But they converted the people into citizens and turned them into the subjects of the crown. As the subject of a crown, you have no right that the crown is bound to respect because their rules are superior to your rights. That is a belligerent philosophy to the organic tribes of Turtle Island because our philosophy is no big eyes, no little U's. If it applied to me, it applied to you.
Go
That's
ahead.
how we governed our land with the law of the land.
Right.
This is the law of the sea, which is coming from the law of the jungle and the philosophy might makes right. In other words, whoever can wield the most devastating military force, then he is the one with the power to rule, and that's who we're gonna listen to.
Right.
So
That's
I
right.
came with the armies of heaven and hell from both sides, the left and the right, and told them you got two options. Pick which one you gonna face.
Mm-hmm.
And they all gonna bow down. So when this is why it's important to the words we use when we identify ourselves. They want us to call ourselves Octanus, which is a Greek word meaning first and or original,
Uh-huh.
right? And we still tying back to terms that they controlling under their copyright material.
Okay.
But when we take a verb and use it as a noun, or if we take an adjective and use it as a pronoun, we alter the frequency of the flow of their power.
Right.
We're either going to capture the flow or redirect the flow, right? So when we say we organic Americans, that ties us to the organic lands
Right.
that America is policing at the moment. Let's let
Yeah,
it play out.
all of these are foreign agencies. The bar, you see, he called it the bar. All that
Right.
ain't got to do
That's
with us.
King George III, Savannah, Georgia, 1863, 64. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
where the first bar was chartered. That's who gave the charter, and in the charter told the attorneys to use the judiciary to take everything from us that they can. It's in the charter, and I posted it on my Instagram.
Yeah, see, like I think the only reason they're able to suck us in that shit is because of the cap. They cap us off with the cap, right? It's the straw man.
They
So
use adhesion contracts and deceptions. That's
yeah,
why you use the oral tradition. They can't trap you in an adhesion contract because the oral tradition is we teach the information and we break it down as simple as possible so the most people in the tribe can understand what's being done at higher levels of government, of religion, of economics. So we need to get this stuff simplified into layman's terms, but we got to use keywords to lock us in. You
okay,
get it?
yeah, yeah.
So let the letter play. I want to hear the
Yeah,
letter.
I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play.
Known as the United States of America, Mugger exercising plenary civil power upon the land hereby appoint General Carter F. Ham to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic Guard and its successors under guidance of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and with their full support, should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces operating under the guise of being federal government agencies, including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security,
Wow.
the Federal Emergency Management Administration, Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, etc. General Ham shall assume immediate command and control of all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America, major station in North America, and shall join them under his command as the Grand Army of the Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. All efforts shall be made by the Grand Army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. The Grand Army of the Republic, GAR, is uniquely enabled by these orders to operate on the land of the 50/50 organic states for the purposes of securing the lives and property of the American states and American state citizens. The GAR is not a foreign army and is composed primarily of American state citizens.
What?
This is where they have taken away your sight. Talking about being blind, we think that, or you tend to think that this is our country that we should be proud of. But it's a country they have established from another country based on the fact that that country is still ruling. And it does it in those various means by which they have taken the land, taken our, really our humanity. We're uh, thought of as a workforce. Like if you had a team of plow horses, you understand? Now they take some horses and they make them into stallions for racing, for beauty, and all the rest of those things. But them plow horses, them mules, and all the rest of those domesticated labor animals, they don't see where they can profit off of anybody whose mentality has been debilitated, whose thinking has been boxed in so that they don't want to do for themselves and would rather go to work and profit somebody else while all they're doing is making a living. You got to go and buy your food from because you won't say, look, let's go buy a couple of thousand acres of land, produce our own food, market it ourselves to us. That way, at least we know what we're eating. You understand? Get enough land to have a water source. And can't stop them from actually dropping stuff in it, but you can dang sure go through the process of having your filtering system so that you know nothing gets through it. And you can't cut it off because you own it. But at the same time, they claim they own everything. Even the God given, you understand? If they could bottle air, they sell it to you. And if you couldn't afford it, well, they wouldn't care. But at the same point in time, let's understand that it is our ability with the proper method to regain our land. They have no right to it. And we have the bond and the fortification within us to make them give it back joyfully. Because it's like we can unleash a hornet swarm inside of a one room situation and close the door. What they gonna do? And that's just in the energy that we can manage and magnify and send out. And as it was said, it shall do all that it was sent out to do. For we have that ability from our source, which puts that source in us. So I want you to understand that this was how the papers and the might of the military and the force on pain of death got this thing done to make it what it is today.
What?
Yeah. Mm.
You see how it's more to it, but you see how they identify.
Commanders shall make every effort to communicate.
Apollo. Yeah, yeah.
You see how
Where
he
it
was
says that,
identifying the republic separate from the state?
yeah,
Because all of the states is their own governing body. Though that's why only your local elections you can control. You can't control once you start getting to senator, congressman level because this is an outside agency. You heard what he called them, the Royal Army of the Republic.
uh-huh.
The Republic, right, mean
National Guard.
to reconstitute the public that was priorly established. That's what they supposed to be doing. But they not doing that. They decided once they was put in control of the provincial government that they was just gonna take over. And they just was gonna run us and that we would never figure out what they was doing because they was attacking us from so many angles that you almost had to be a schizophrenic to address every angle at once.
Man.
Right? So this is why you see so many of us that we sound like we insane because we seeing so many streams of information at once.
Right.
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 Go and let them hear the next page.
All right.
I think this is the next page.
And the reasons for their presence on American state soil to ensure a prompt cessation of hostilities and a widespread understanding of usurpations and acts of fraud which have led to any conflict. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligation to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic shall continue to operate under General Order 100, known as the Libra Code, X. General Order 100, known as the Libra Code, extant from the pen of the last Republic President, Abraham Lincoln. No orders,
The
executive,
last
or
Republic
otherwise
president, Abraham Lincoln.
That's when the banks took over. The banks took over as a business venture. What was allocated to the Republic force or occupier to do. So the banks replaced the president that was a politician with a president that was a banker.
Dang. Abraham Lincoln was the last real president.
So this is when they begin to work toward these. How do you get a central bank in a country where everybody got a big mama and she controlled the bank in that region and you can't control how she operates? So that's when I tell you about the outlaws.
Okay.
The ones they telling us, them outlaw bank robbers and cowboys, was economic hitmen.
Go ahead.
But the ones that they telling us as heroes for the Republican Army, they was the ones that you seen the cowboys and Indians and some of them Westerns fighting the cavalry together.
Go ahead.
Right? Why are they fighting the cavalry together if the cowboys and Indians are enemies?
Right.
Right? So we don't recognize what's taking place there. Right? Enter Pancho Villa.
Yep.
Right? Mexican revolutionary, Southwestern at this time, we in the Mesoamerican Wars. This is where you get your Emilio Zapata. I wish you could pull a picture of him up for them to see. He was what you call an Afro-Mexican.
Yep. Geronimo. Geronimo was one of them guys too, wasn't it, Rod? That was fighting against these guys. And you know what I found out too, Rod? Based on what you just told me, and based on what I was already putting together in my head, I think that them got because Bat Masterson and all them, we know that Bat Masterson, Wyatt Earp, the one that made the movie Tombstone about. We found out that
Mhm.
they were economic hitmans. One group of them was, and they were Knights of Templar. Come to find out, they were Knights of Templar. They shoot Knights of Templar signs in these old pictures they got, Bat Masters and all them, right? They were economic hitman. And I know why you say that, because one group of them, like Bat Masters and them, they were going around. They got hired to slaughter our buffaloes. And I remember you showing me that pile of buffalo heads. It was like 1,000,000 buffalo heads. And so them guys, Mr. James, he wasn't robbing new Caucasian banks. He was robbing our banks. He was robbing Pacific Bank that they told him to go rob. Train, Big Mama Train. He was robbing Big Mama Train. Money. You know what I'm saying? I got pictures of these guys, man, doing shooting they was all Masons. They was all Masons. So who the hell
Look,
was it? Black
if
Hand hired Black Master to come slaughter our buffaloes and starve us out. And they set up these forts to surround us and steal our shit.
well, you got to remember, they say every time they kill a buffalo, they kill one of us.
Man, man.
The buffalo is was the guardian, spirit guardian of the land,
Uh-huh.
and this is why so many tribes band together to try to stop them from killing them. And this is where you see them train with the Indians and the painting, chasing the train, shooting it with arrows.
Yeah, yeah,
Them was called buffalo trains, and they was hunting the buffalo. They was just killing them and leaving them there.
right. Stealing the carcass, stealing the skin, just leaving the
It's
meat.
blood, but no, they wasn't even doing that. Not on the
Just stealing.
trains. They was just shooting them down as they go.
Yeah, yeah, I seen that on the movie.
Right, because that was called the buffalo trains.
Damn.
Right, and in
To
the
starve us
paintings
out.
you
To
see,
starve us out.
well, it's more than that because they was attacking us spiritually, and the representation of the spiritual attack was played out in the public as which
Right,
was the symbol of
right.
the clan that was the Buffalo clan who used they made the Flintstones cartoon to parody. Made the Flintstones cartoon to parody. And they call it what they call it, the Moose Lodge. And they call it what
Yeah,
they
you talking
call it,
about
the Moose
the
Lodge.
water
Fred
yeah,
Flintstone.
Fred Flintstone, the Buffalo
On
Law.
Fred
The Buffalo
Yeah,
Law. They
that's
were the Buffalo the
right.
fences with the horns
Yeah,
on it.
that's right.
The
So
British
when we
right.
right. When we went to war,
Uh-huh.
some of the larger chiefs, right, those old Mississippians, some of them was huge. Those old
Uh-huh.
Mississippians, some of them and was huge. They would put the buffalo pelt on
They
and sabotage the enemy when he came across the land. So they thought that we turned into buffaloes literally. We turned
go ahead.
into buffaloes. And so they believed that at night we turn into buffaloes, and some of us don't turn back into soldiers until they smell blood on the land. Until they smell those are some of the legends that they used to tell to the cavalries that was moving out west.
Interesting.
You can finish that.
About the werewolves and all that. We might come back on one of them, but because they had already got a whole bunch of receipts. They'll say, "Oh, they turn into wolves. They do this."
Right. That's what the skinwalker story legends are. Those were soldiers in the tribal military that used camouflage of the animals coming to the land. And the soldiers were apex predator or Bobian symbols to symbolize either strength or ferocity. And you had totem clans that was wolves that wore wolf, and them was the ones who wear the wolves. And the ones that came said they looked like kin, so they started calling them like.
Right?
And then the vampires came from Vlad the Impaler bloodline in the first vampire,
Uh-huh.
right? The vampire is the Impaler's empire expansion, and it's cloaked itself under the guise of the Roman Empire, spreading itself across the country in the underbellies of Rome as they follow these other blood drinkers, adrenochrome harvesters, baby cookers, and they use them to conceal what they doing so that it'll look like it's one person the whole time. It's two different bloodlines,
Yeah.
right?
And we got,
And that's why a symbol is drinking the blood, and that's to tap into the blood of another's bloodline. It's all symbolism.
yeah,
They not
blood,
literally
blood
biting
magic.
you in the neck, but they using blood magic to put
Right.
you
And
in blood ritual.
we got 1,000 people in here, man. Like 1,200 people, man. Everybody hit that like button right now. So, hey, everybody see $1, man. So, look, let's put them in the chat on Cash App. Hey, Rod, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next. That's the. We were going to take a couple questions. We've been on about like almost an hour and a half. But I'm gonna play this right here, and then we'll take questions. 'Cause I got a couple questions too to go along with this. This
Okay.
that I want to know. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the rest of it, and then we'll take some questions from the crowd, y'all. Because I see y'all got a lot of questions. All right, hit that like, y'all.
Issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as President of the United States Corporation, nor as the President of the United States of America, minor, are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs Taft, General Ham, or any ordinary. All plainly stated grants of contractual authority evident in the Constitution for the United States of America remain in place, subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligations and treaties. Mr. Obama is the president of a governmental services corporation under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of
Wow,
America.
hold up, I gotta pause it. What the fuck you just said, Rod? The president is a foreign dignitary, a foreign. Now, ain't that against the Constitution?
We have always had a thought that we had something to do with electing a president in this country. Well, I found out some years ago that they are picked, chosen, and placed according to the Electoral College and those corporations that have the mega money that they don't want to stop. So they put their people in there, and he Republican or Democrat, they won't not lose very much either which way it go. And each one is always still making sure that the profit flows to the top and that the source of that profit is at the bottom. We're going to continue with this probably on the next podcast, and I'm going to say this part because I want a whole lot of thought to be given because we're going to be in a very, very strange place when we have to take care of ourselves and nobody wants to cooperate. But that's still, nevertheless, going to be the major factor in our next transition. We're going to be our truly connected people to the land that we have always been in, on, and nurtured by, irregardless. So, you know, I'm not taking no credit for all of these technical uh, uh, um, technical documentations being found, being verified, and being brought to the attention of the law we had law. We had the law of the land. They came with that admiralty law. They came with all of those other laws that has always been made to keep us in subjection to them. It's legal for them, but it's illegal for us. They would like to have gotten us all off the land, but then it wouldn't have been no way for them to live here either. But so I'm going to just say, to the degree that this is very, very necessary to be a point in life where we start to have a life again, our own, with our own, for our own. We done been through quite a bit of, what should I say, social engineering, all those other contrivances that they felt would sooner or later make us insignificant, but it never happened. We're in it as much as it's in us. And you wonder, why is there this overdriving force that tells you you are of a nature that cannot be dismissed? It can't be made small again. Is what this true re-energizing is. And the planet itself is being re-energized, which is energizing us more too. So I didn't know how to bring this to awareness any more than this. But you can look at Dane Calloway, you can look at Rod Hayes, you can look at Young Elder, you can even go back and through the conscious community and find out all those little tidbits that should have amounted to a whole lot more people being saying these things and coming together to the manner that we have that ability to do it. That's the big secret. That's what they don't want you to know. And that's what they have always been distracting you from, causing you to want to live in their manner of living. So, with that, I'm going to say we'll see you again on the next one.